This is the YOB ConvoCast, one-on-one conversations with your other brother's authors, community members, supporters, and friends.
What's up, friends, and welcome back to the YOB ConvoCast. Yes, we still ConvoCast. We're YOBcasting again, but we're also still ConvoCasting. And these are lovely little conversations, one-on-one with my bros, with my other brothers and friends and supporters of this ministry, of this community. And I'm so excited to be back with the ConvoCast. First episode of these we've done in several months now. And one of my visions, one of my hopes and dreams for the ConvoCast for a little while now, we've done it a couple times, not as often as I would have liked, was to kind of record a podcast in response to some of our blogs that have been written. Because I'm a blogger at heart. You know, maybe some of you only know me from the podcast on this podcast network, but I am a writer. I'm a blogger at heart, and it is like my little baby of all the things that I've birthed into the universe. And so it's really special to combine like some of my loves together with the blog and then the podcast, and like being able to go behind the scenes, kind of being able to add layers to some of our blogs that have been written through the years. And so I'm hoping to do that more often. And I'm really grateful that I reached out to one of our blogger extraordinaires, and he reached out and he said he was down to tell us more, because the blog that was written, let me tell y'all, it got a response. There was a response in our private Discord community. We had a response on social media as well. And it was just really cool. It's always cool to see our blogs resonate with people wherever they're at. So without further, I mean, that's a big introduction. Without any further introduction, here's our other brother, Andrew, coming back. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, Tom. It's so good to be back. It's especially on the heels of a spicy blog post. You know, it's,
yes.
You got to give the people what they want.
So spicy, so direct, so emotional. Yeah, there's so many layers to it, and we're going to get to that very shortly. But I do have, this is my little pink notepad, Andrew. I've got notes now. Ooh. I like to keep, you know, when younger Tom, oh my gosh, you have a pink, is it pink too?
I have pink sticky notes, yes.
Wow, I didn't even see that. Wow, we are aligned. We are so aligned. I was going to say a younger version of myself, a younger version of Tom would have been able to just do this without any notes. But, you know, your boy is aging. His memory isn't what it used to be. And I just got to have things laid out a little bit so I don't forget things, because there's some really cool things I want to talk to you about. First of all, we missed you, Andrew, at this year's YOB retreat.
I know. I was so sad to miss it.
I believe, I'd have to check the records. I believe you sent me a deposit, and then something happened on your end where you just couldn't make the trip happen, which was sad. But it was also like your presence was there because you submitted a written piece to be read during one of our worship sets, and it was so good. This is my first time being able to see you face to face, and maybe this is my ulterior motive of having you on the podcast so soon after the retreat.
Ooh.
But it was just so beautiful what you wrote for the retreat. We had a few guys, actually. You weren't the only one. I think we had two other guys also submit written pieces, and they were there to read them. And I'm sure if you were there, you would have read it too. But it was really it was really cool. Like, as in the middle of our singing and prayer and liturgies, like to have these written pieces, like, was really, really special. So thank you for contributing. Even though you weren't there in person, your presence was certainly felt.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I'm glad I was able to be there, you know, in word, if not necessarily in person. So
yes.
Yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and it was impactful.
It was beautiful. Yeah. Again, as a words person, it was great to see so many written words and spoken words at this retreat, more than any other retreat that we've had. So that was the first thing, very first thing, is just thank you for contributing. And hopefully we'll see you at an upcoming YOB retreat soon. We'll see. We'll see where the winding road will lead. Secondly, you know, you may be known to our community members, this, not to like make you one-dimensional, but you might be known as Heartstopper Andrew.
That's right.
Heartstopper Andrew. And I think we recapped the first 2 seasons, I think, on the podcast. And we talked about asexuality, because one of the main characters on the show identifies as ace. And so we talked about that a little bit and how that intersects with both of our stories in some capacity. But then Andrew, you and I never got to do a season 3 recap. And I think I remember you saying that it wasn't great. And I watched it actually just recently because I put it off. I've been having Netflix issues where they're doing this on all the streaming networks now, where I use my family's Netflix account, and because I don't physically live with my mom and dad, which is a blessing, but also I don't get to bum their Netflix account anymore. So for months and months and months, I was locked out of Netflix, so I couldn't watch it if I wanted to. But then I got access again for a short season, and I was like, oh my gosh, what have I missed, or what do I need to catch up on while I have this brief window in time where Netflix thinks that I'm in Georgia or something. I don't know what happened, but then I watched it. I binged it in a couple days, and it was, I don't know, it just felt flat to me. Do you have it? We're not going to spend too much time on Heartstopper, but that's how it felt to me. It just felt flat.
Yeah, I agree. It lost kind of the magic of the first season, and it just, it lost what made it special. Just kind of innocent, just look at these high schoolers' lives and kind of the first love, and just kind of, it's kind of, there's kind of an innocence about it, and it just kind of turned into a needless drama, which I feel like that's kind of the fate of any show that goes on past its expiration date, which is sad, but
yeah, you have to keep manufacturing storylines or whatever.
Right.
And no spoiler alerts, but it was in all the teasers where like sex becomes a topic of the season, and will they or won't they have sex by the end of the season, these two teenage boys. And the whole time I'm still thinking like, again, this is my sheltered Christian upbringing. I'm like, I was not thinking about sex at 15, 16 years old. Like, how are these kids constantly alone all the time? Like, where are their parents? Their parents are like never home. I was like, how do they have even the space and the capacity to even consider this as a possibility? Right. But maybe I'm just so sheltered. I don't know how that works.
No, I mean, like, if I had disappeared for, 25 minutes, my parents would have been like, where are you? Like, I know, blowing my phone up. So it's just, I don't understand it.
I feel like you have to suspend a little disbelief sometimes with these teenage dramas that the parents are just never home. I don't know where the parents are, if they're out partying or working graveyard shifts or what they're doing, but they aren't home. They're gone.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm a 33-year-old man. I don't want to watch teenagers have sex.
Yeah. It starts to get to that point where it's like, oh yeah. But I'll never forget those first couple of seasons, especially the first season, and they're like meeting each other for the first time. They're coming to terms with sexuality, and then there's the little sparky animations on the screen when they're getting close to each other. There was just something refreshing and different about it that I appreciated.
It was so cute.
And Tao's like awful haircut at the beginning of the show.
It's horrible.
He looks so much more handsome towards the end of the show. That was the one redeeming part, I guess, of the last season. But anyway, there's our Heartstopper quick recap of season 3 for those that were or weren't asking for it. There you have it.
Exactly. Yeah, we could talk about Heartstopper, and I can apparently also talk about straight men. So, my 2 topics of conversation.
What a segue. Perfect segue. Yeah. So your blog, I'm just going to read it because I got it right on my screen. I know you have it on yours too, but your blog was called "A Straight Man Won't Fix You." A straight man won't fix you. And that was your title, I believe. I think that was the title you came up with, because all of our bloggers, there's sort of an understanding, like I might tweak people's suggested titles, trying to get some good keywords in there, always looking for clickability, not in a clickbaity way, but trying to just be accurate about what this blog post is about and put some keywords at the top. So sometimes I will tweak. A lot of the time, I would say probably 3/4 of the time, 80% of the time, I will tweak people's titles, maybe use a lot of the same words, but move them around a little bit. But that was so good, Andrew. I saw that title and I was like, there's nothing that needs to be, that says everything it needs to say right there. It's a perfect sentence, perfect title. It's got the keyword, which in this sentence is straight man. That's a popular phrase on our website.
Honestly, it really is.
Straight man, and then fix you. So A+ title. And I just wanted to read the first few paragraphs because if people haven't read it, and this will be linked in the show notes so everyone can go click and read while I'm reading it along. You can read along with me if you're so inclined.
Like an audiobook.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you're here to give us kind of the behind the scenes, because I have some investigative questions to ask you if you are open to answering them. But but yeah, this is kind of the fun part about doing the ConvoCast. It won't be every ConvoCast, but I'm hoping to do more ConvoCasts like this, where we kind of follow up with an author about one of his recent blogs and kind of go a level deeper, because I think it's cool to have both a website with a blog and a podcast where we can like supplement the resources here. So yeah, I'll read the first few paragraphs and I'll stop because I don't want to spoil everything. But this is how you start out. I have a straight friend who I've known for close to a decade now. He's athletic, emotionally intelligent, funny, gives great hugs, and has cried in my presence more than once. He was the main person who encouraged me to move from the Midwest to California, and I've shared more tender late-night conversations about life and struggles with him than just about anyone else in my life. I'm not being dramatic when I say that I would die for this man. And right when I read this, so this is Tom speaking again, when I read those first couple of paragraphs, literally the thought in my head was exactly the thought that you then said right after that was like, oh my gosh, like they're going to be like, I was intrigued. I saw the title. I saw this. I was like, kind of know where this is going. But in my head, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I know there are going to be people reading this who are like, oh brother, like good for you. You have a awesome, sensitive, straight man who listens to you and cries with you. Like, and sure enough, that's what you said. You was like, back to Andrew speaking. Now, I'm sure some of you are probably thinking, okay, good for you. I'm so happy that you have such a wonderful person in your life. Hooray. And then you continue from there. But the main thing, yeah, like the thesis of your blog is in the next paragraph. A common theme I've noticed in male side B spaces is that of the mythical quote unquote straight best friend. Namely, that if we could only find a straight man who is the right mix of masculine, sensitive, and cuddly, we would be cured. And I just thought, yeah, this is one of the most direct, if that's the right word. It was just a very clear and direct, like you knew what you wanted to say. You had an example of a story of a person in your life, and then you went on to say it over the next however many hundreds of words. So structurally fantastic. Well done. Oh, thank you so much.
I'm just
and you know what?
With praise over here. Just the title and the wow, I can die happy now.
I know.
A glowing review from Tom.
And I even remember when you told me about this blog, because we were at Revoice together this summer in Seattle. And I think you had either emailed me just before, or you might have told me in person when we were there. You're like, hey, I sent you a blog just to give it to you. You know, you got it. Mm-hmm. And we were in a weird transition where our website, I can't remember, I don't think our website might have just launched, but there was this weird in-between period where we didn't have our website up. And so all the blogs, like I saved all the blogs from the previous website that people had written that weren't posted yet. And I just had this like huge stockpile of blog drafts. And then you send me an email with another blog, and it's almost like throwing a trinket onto a pile. You know, it's like, I'll get to it when I get to it. But right now it was a busy summer trying to redo the website and get the nonprofit squared away and all that stuff. So I knew that you sent this blog, but I didn't read it. I didn't read it until like fairly recently, but before I posted it basically. And it was just like such a gift, because like as soon as I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good, Andrew. It was amazing. Thank you for telling this story.
You're like, this is going to do numbers on the website. We got to post this.
Straight man won't fix you. Yeah, click. Yeah. So my first investigative question, because I want to learn more about this blog post and what inspired it, but a couple leading questions was this straight man that you reference at the start of the blog. Is he familiar with your other brothers and your role in it? And if so, does he know that this blog exists? That was my first snooping question.
Ooh. So he is familiar. He is familiar with your other brothers. Like I've talked about it before. I've mentioned my role in it. He's met a couple of friends. But I haven't told him about the blog. He doesn't like follow this. And so I keep going back and forth. I'm like, I think he would find it entertaining. I think he would enjoy it, but yeah, it's also like, oh hey, I just wrote this blog article about you. You know, you should read it and tell me how great you think
that could really kickstart the friendship. I think if it needs a little jolt, there you go. That was my first thought, was like, because you don't name him, and I always encourage our authors to not like name the people in your life, you know, maybe change some identifying details. That's always nice. But no, I just really liked how you laid it out so clearly, because I mean, I'll speak for myself. I don't want to throw any community members under the bus, because like I'll just speak for myself that I have lived in this like mythical, magical thinking land for a good number of my years. A lot of me is still there, if I'm honest, but I think I've also come to earth, you know, in recent years as well, to recognize that, yeah, any one person, man or woman, married or unmarried, friend or no friend, like any one person will not erase all of your problems, fill all of your holes, fix everything about you. And that's what you were saying in this blog. And so there's definitely like a recognition there that I am grateful that you articulated and that you put out there. And then on the flip side of it, I know that there are people, and I'll be one of those people that are like, yeah, but I also would really like to have a friend like that, because that sounds really great. It, like I will lay down my selfishness or my Enneagram 4 savior complex where I need somebody to fix me. But I just want somebody who will do all of those things that you listed. Gives great hugs, amazing. I love that. Athletic, emotionally intelligent. all those things. Like, where do I sign up to get that straight friend? Like, I would take that.
He really is the full package. I know. And I honestly just kind of stumbled into this friendship. Like, we were both, he started working at the company that I was working for. And it was one of those things where, sexuality is a gift, because I saw him from over the cube walls, and I'm like, oh, he's kind of cute. I should go talk to him. Not really, just kind of being a little thirsty. And so I go over to talk to him, and I was like, oh, not only is he good looking, but he's like seems like a decent person and someone I can actually connect with. So in that moment, I was like, thank you, Lord, that you made me gay, because I don't know if I would have struck up a conversation with him otherwise if I hadn't first been like, ooh, cute.
Yeah, you needed that initial reason to connect, and then more layers developed, I'm sure, from there.
Exactly. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I'm curious. Yeah. I'm curious about the inspiration for this blog, because, I don't know, like, were you thinking about like trying to write something and you were just racking your brain like, what could I write about for YOB? Or did something happen in your life that reminded you of this friend or this topic? Or like, I don't know, I'm just curious, has this been brewing for a while? Was it a spur of the moment type of blog? Like, tell us a little bit about your process for putting this together.
Ooh, now we're getting to the really juicy details.
Nice.
So this has been a long time coming. I think, because I think we've all been in this situation before. I know I have, of just like, oh, I want this one friend to, complete me and fix me. But I think over the last, I don't know, maybe 6 to 9 months, I just have kind of been talking with a lot more side B guys, and it was kind of bothering me, like, oh, there's so much discussion around like, oh, straight men. And it was honestly starting to piss me off. I was just like, okay, I need straight men are not the savior, So I think it was born out of a place of frustration, partially, and also partially just, I don't know. It's something that I've kind of, I've wanted to write about for a while, of just like in a way of me coming full circle of like from when I was in college and just like desperately trying to find a friend who would like be the one friend to rule them all, and being like, now that I'm in a place where I've kind of, I don't say I've completely moved past that, but I've definitely healed a lot from that. And just kind of being like, hey, I want to share this, this wisdom or this encouragement of, it's better to look to a group of people rather than just one person. And I think that's a lie that our culture has really pushed on us, which I mentioned in the article. But I think that was part of it too, just like an influx of, movies and different things about like, oh, just this one person's going to change my life. And so I think it was just kind of born out of a place of kind of frustration.
Yeah. No, I mean, you tapped into something that I think has been floating. It kind of surprised me that something like this hasn't been written like years ago, honestly. I was like, wow, this almost feels like we're too late. Like, where was this blog? Not to blame it on you, but I was like, this was like something we needed probably 5 years ago or something. But
right.
I was curious if this is something you've given any thought to, like what do you think it is specifically about the straight man that creates this like magical thinking in many side B spaces, or in our community in particular? Like what is it? Do you have any theories about that?
Yeah, I think it's because a lot of us grew up outside of, typical heterosexual male spaces like sports teams or, whatever. We were just kind of the outsiders. There's this feeling of, oh, if I was just part of a group, then that would or I guess it started with, if I was just a part of that group back when I was in middle school or high school or whatever, I wouldn't be the way that I am today. And so that kind of turns into, well, I need to try and find that now to start the healing process, and to have somebody who's I can emulate. And I think there's also this, in our culture, there's this, like elevation of masculinity, and this like masculine things are good, masculine emotions are good, and feminine emotions are bad for both men and women. So it's like, well, it's okay to be angry, and it's okay to, punch a wall, and it's okay to do this and that, because those are manly, masculine emotions. But it's not okay to cry, and it's not okay to, get overly emotional, because those are feminine things. So I think there's also kind of that underlying everything, not to get too into the weeds, but um and honestly, it's sometimes you just see a straight guy and you're like, wow, he's really attractive. And I wish I could move through life with that kind of confidence, instead of, and that could also be part of it too. Like the jealousy of like straight men and have it so easy, at least on the surface. Like they have a lot of privilege as far as it's very easy for them to move through life. They don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to get hate crimed, or am I going to get followed home from work because I'm not a straight man. So I think there's a lot of underlying things that could contribute to that. And I think it varies from different people to people. Like, some people, certain things may be more prominent why they're attracted to straight men, and other people maybe something different. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, just for my own story, just feeling outside of the loop of masculinity, and the straight man was always the other for me, and so I think for me, the way my sexuality developed, like I never just growing up was never attracted to gay people. Like it was always the straight man, and the athletes in my class, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think as I've aged and as I've grown up, it's not to say I don't find gay men attractive. Our community, for one, you know who you are out there. We have a very attractive community inside and out.
Some cuties, yeah.
We have some beautiful boys in our community of all ages, and so it's not to say, I don't want to be so shallow to say that I don't find any straight or any gay or SSA man attractive, because I do. But I think for me, like as I've parsed this out in my mind, I think there's always like this reassurance that if I could get close to a straight man, like by definition, he's not going to want to pursue me sexually or romantically. And so there's a safety there in that I could get close to him, and it's only ever going to be like platonic, and hopefully like the intimate kind. Like if platonic friendship is a spectrum, like hopefully it's more on the intimate side of platonic versus the like, our dear brother Eugene wrote a blog post about sitting in a movie theater, like 2 seats apart in a movie theater with his straight friend. Like that's the other end of platonic, I guess, is like sitting 2 seats apart from your one friend in a movie theater. But yeah, because there have been times where I've like cuddled or been close with other men, other side B guys who, from my vantage point, like again, shout out to our asexual blog. Like I am not interested in a sexual, like necessarily relationship with another man, but that's not to say that the other one isn't, if they are attracted to men and they don't identify as asexual or asexual in the asexual spectrum. So I guess there's always that like fear that I can't get too close, either physically or emotionally, because there's this fear of like, am I going to be triggering them or setting off alarm bells that don't need to be set off? And if I could just have this with a straight man, it would be so much better, and there'd be less problematic, like physical things, emotional things. But then I kind of get trapped in this vortex of like trying to create this perfect scenario of a perfect friendship with perfect touch and perfect connection opportunity. Yeah. And it gets so idolized. And I've been there, and I don't want to preach at everyone and say that I overcame this and now you can too. Cause like I still have to catch myself. I'm more self-aware now than I've ever been about that line of thinking, but it can be very destructive to my faith. Cause I love what you said about like, we rail in this side B community, like we'll rail against the idolization of marriage, but then we do the same thing with our friends, and shame on us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know, we're always looking to something better to replace God or what we have now. You know, it's always like we're not happy with what we have. And like you said, there's this mythical person that, and it may not even be a straight man, you know, it could just be like, oh, I just need to find somebody who's like really cool and has great taste in music and like likes all the same hobbies that I do. And then we're going to have a great time and we'll just do everything together and it'll be perfect. And like nothing's ever perfect. So it's just,
Nothing's ever perfect. Yeah. I mean, that's like the come to reality thing that I've hate because I can be such a high vision, like dreamy type of person where everything has to be perfect, including my friends, relationships, church group, church, there have been times in my life where I felt like I reached the pinnacle of all of those things, like the best church, the best small group, the best circle of friends, straight or not straight, and it's just like, and then when those things changed or even like left me altogether, like it kind of created this void where it's like, now I have to get back to that. I have to get back to this like perfect situation relationally or otherwise. And man, that is like a hard pursuit because like maybe in a blue moon you'll find something akin to perfect, but like I think vast majority of the time, more often than not, you're just gonna be left high and dry and very disappointed. And I loved your proverb that you quoted in this group. I think I've heard this before. I wanted to get if you had a backstory on where you've heard this proverb too, because the proverb was to catch a butterfly, don't run after it, rather sit down and it will land on you. That's amazing. That's beautiful. Where did you hear that?
I don't honestly remember. I think it was in a book of poetry somewhere, but it's been so long that it's just kind of one of those things that's just floating around in my head. But I love the mental image of it, because so often it's like we run ourselves ragged and even just like pursuing God, we run after just, oh, I have to be perfect. I have to do this, I have to do that. And it's like, no, you can just rest. Like it's okay.
Mm. Yeah. My other metaphor that came to mind was like, have you ever heard that if you're sinking in quicksand, the worst thing you could do is wrestle your way out. The best thing you could do is be as still as possible. Although that's more of a morbid image than a butterfly landing on you. Like if you're sinking to your doom and death in a pile of quicksand, stop wrestling and just be still. Be still and know that you will escape.
Exactly.
I've never understood that though. It's like, what are you supposed to do then if you're just not moving in quicksand, but you're still sinking? You're just not sinking as fast. But then how do you get out?
I think it's like, oh, well, I see, that's a good question because
you need somebody to throw you a stick or a rope or something. I think you're still dependent on someone else to get you out. I don't think you can get yourself out of the quicksand. I don't think.
Unless you can like swim to the other side. I don't know.
But then you'd be struggling. You'd be wrestling. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that works. If any quicksand experts are out there, let me know.
Right. But I feel like quicksand was one of the things that was really hyped up in school. It's like, this is a danger you're going to face all the time. And I've never experienced it once.
I know.
So
where's the quicksand
kind of
out there?
Right.
I'm sure somebody out there has been in quicksand. Get in touch if you've been in quicksand. Tell us how to escape. The only other thing I had, Andrew, and then I'll let you close it out because I know you have your pink notepad of anything else that you want to talk about. But I love that you basically sum up this blog by talking about how not diminishing the value in having straight friends, because it's not just an anti-straight friend vlog, if that's what it sounds like or what it sounded like at the start. Like you have tremendous value on straight friends, but you also have tremendous value. I love how you put this in perspective. Like you also place tremendous value on your female friends and your other queer friends. And, regardless of their gender or their marital status or their age, like it's a beautiful thing. Like I'm paraphrasing your words, but essentially that it's a beautiful thing to have all kinds of different kinds of friends that are different from you in whatever capacity, whether that's your age or your gender or your sexual orientation or your marital status or whatever it is. Like it's good to have a diversity of people speaking into your life and vice versa, you speaking into their life. And I think that's the big takeaway is that like I'm going to challenge on the flip side of it. I'm going to challenge anyone out there who's like very anti straight friend and will refuse to make friendships with straight friends. That's not to discount your trauma or your wounds or whatever you've gone through in life. But I think it's such an opportunity for both your own life to be enriched, but then for a straight man's life to be enriched as well, to know you and to learn your story and to connect. So I think it's just a beautiful thing. Yeah. When we can have a diversity of people speaking into our lives.
Yeah, definitely. For me, some of the best lessons I've learned and some of the most unexpected growth has come from people who are completely different from me, and I'm like, I never would have thought of that way, or, they look at the world in a completely different way. And it's really cool because it's like, it's just, my brain does not work that way. And understanding how you view this has just opened my horizons, and it helps me love them better. So yeah, more people is better. Like, you never know what cool things you're going to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a couple of straight male friends who, ironically, I don't know if ironically is the right word. Ironically, they both have younger gay brothers. And it's just so fun that they can like connect with me and learn a little bit more about how their brother works, how their mind or whatever works, just by knowing me. Not that I'm the be all end all for all gay people, because I assuredly am not, but to have that like conduit of connection with these couple of straight friends that I'm thinking of in particular, I think is a fun thing for us to all just like grow in empathy, learn about the way people are different from us, and for that to not be a limiting factor, but to be truly an expansive factor as we connect with more and more of humanity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you have anything else, Andrew, before we go tonight? I know this conversation flew, but I want to make sure we said everything that needed to be said.
Yeah, it really did go by quick. This was fantastic. I'll say the one thing that I did have written down that I did want to say was, as a counterpoint to all those people who are like, oh, if I'm just around a straight man, they'll make me straighter and, more masculine. I think straight men in general have made me more gay. So it's.
I love that line. You're like, you're still just as gay. You in the blog, you said you're still just as gay and just as flamboyant, but here you're saying on the podcast, you've actually become more. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, honestly, I guess I misspoke.
Uh-oh, we need to correct the records. Add an addendum to this blog.
Second blog post: why straight men have made me more gay.
That is amazing, and that's the perfect follow-up. Why is that? What you say it? We say it all jokey, but why is that the case?
I think it's just because I recognize the limitations of straight men, and I'm like, not only am I like, oh, I'm glad that I don't have that experience of like, oh, I only can wear these 3 colors and I'm not allowed to show any emotions or, hug people. Not only has it kind of given me that perspective, but it's also been like, okay, now that I realize that I'm different, I'm going to lean into that and really experience all that I can about the uniqueness of being, not straight, being like, yeah, I'm going to wear all these fun colors and patterns, and I'm going to give all of my friends hugs, and, I'm going to cry in every single movie. So it's kind of like, I'm going to be as queer as possible because I can.
Just because you can. And yeah, you've become more self-aware of who you are, and it's just a beautiful thing to grow. You're growing in confidence, which, dare I say, Andrew, is a very masculine thing to grow in, this confidence that so many of us covet in our straight brethren who appear to have not a care in the world, not a problem to be faced. So I don't know, kind of ironic.
Yeah, and so many of them are, just it's all an act. So they're not as confident as they look.
Yeah. They're hopelessly attracted to women and constantly on dating apps and looking at porn probably, and who knows? Who knows what they're doing? Well, last thing I'll say, Andrew, it was amazing. It was a great blog, and I really appreciate you coming on. Just before I got here today to record with you, I was actually literally like an hour ago, not even an hour, well, about an hour ago, I was with a friend, and this friend was actually he was the model in the photograph for your blog here today on this blog. Because spoiler alert, that is not you. That is not you pictured in the image for this blog. But we have a great community that submit awesome blog photos. So all the photos you see on our blog are submitted by somebody within the community. And so so this was a really I've had this photo like saved for a while, or I've like been eyeing it for a while to match it up with a good blog post. And for some reason, this was the one. This is the one that was A Straight Man Can't Fix You, and I attached it to this blog. And so he was really excited that I was talking to you tonight. So shout out to the model. The model of the blog. Yes. Because
it's come full circle.
He didn't know what he was posing for at the time, no doubt. But it was just a really great image. A mysterious silhouetted man looking out over a lake, it looks like, with some trees in the background. So our listeners can click over there and check it out.
We love a mysterious man.
We love a mysterious straight man, maybe. I don't know if he's straight. Like, when you look at the image, do you see that as yourself pondering how a straight man can't fix you, or do you see that as the straight man that can't be the fixer? That is the question.
I see that as myself. Like, I have it in my bio. I think it's like I stare pensively out the nearest window. My friends always give me grief for that. They're like,
really?
Oh, yes. They're like, oh, leave Andrew alone. And he'll be in a window just staring out the window.
You know, gosh, I feel like you and I are so similar in so many ways. I'm a window starer too. I love people watching. I love sitting by the window at coffee shops and being distracted. I remember, we have to go, but this is my last story. I was in college. I was in an English, I think it was a Shakespeare class when I was like a junior or senior in college. And there was a day where I swear, like, I was just so bored out of my mind in this class. Like, Shakespeare, some of it's good, some of it's very dense, and like it's old English. And sometimes I just want to look out a window. I was looking out the window while the professor was like reading the play, like, because he was a theatrical guy. And so he was like reading the play with all character voices. Like, he took it very seriously. Good on him. But I was looking out the window, and I swear it mustn't have been more than 5 seconds. Maybe it was like 30 seconds, because you know how it goes when you look out windows, time just stops. But he stopped talking and literally and I noticed it. And then I like turned to look at him, and he was looking directly at me.
Oh no.
And he said, "Is there something out there we should all be aware of?" And he like put me on the spot for looking out the window. No. Is that a crime?
That should be punishable by jail time.
He was in the middle of reading The 12th Night or A Midsummer Night's Dream or something. And I just was looking out the window for, I swear it was 5 seconds. Maybe it was 30 seconds. But even if it was 60 seconds, what is it to him that I'm looking out the window and not reading along like a good little boy? Like, this is college. This isn't like elementary school. I felt so shamed. I felt so shamed in that moment.
You should have said, I was just envisioning the characters in my mind. Just really
I was just seeing,
into it.
You were saying it so well. I needed to see a blank canvas or something. I don't know. Like, it was ridiculous. So it's so funny.
That's horrible though.
I think about that. You can tell this is like a traumatic memory. That came up so fast when you talked about looking out the window. I was right there. Wow. I was back in 2007 or so, whatever year that was. Oof.
Wow. Tragic. I'm sorry I triggered you.
It's always good to end a podcast on a trauma story. I love
is.
End with trauma. All right, friends. Well, no, in all seriousness, Andrew, this was fantastic. To all of our listeners, if you haven't read the blog, go check it out. It's in the show notes, and leave a comment too. You know, we transferred to this new website. We're trying to get comments rolling in again. So please, if you feel led to comment, share a story about a straight man in your life that you were convinced would fix you, or that you tried to have him fix you, and did something juicy, disastrous happen, or did the friendship heal and you survived it, or whatever. Like, I would love to, always good to hear resonant stories from our readers. So if you have a comment on this blog, go ahead and leave it at yourotherbrothers.org. And again, it's all posted in the notes.
Yeah, we do love a juicy story.
We love a juicy story. Yeah. I won't read any of them because we're out of time, and I want to honor people's privacy, because unlike YOBcast feedback, where people are given a warning that whatever they say can and will be used against you. Like, I might read their comments on the episodes. They're signing up for that. We had a lot of people comment on your blog on our private Discord server, so I will not read their comments, which were not given authorization to be read. But I just know that this blog landed with a lot of our community. So thank you, brother, for writing it. And if there's something else you've been thinking about for years now, please put it out there. We need your voice. Your
Don't worry, I've got
prophetic voice.
my prophetic voice.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I have some other ones in the hopper.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fun. Very
So
fun.
this isn't the last you've heard from me.
No, I hope not. I hope not. All right, brother. Well, thanks for making the time. I didn't say where you're from. You're coming at us from California. So thanks for making the trek all the way here from across the country.
Absolutely.
Always
Anytime.
a pleasure. All right, friends. Well, until we cast our next convo, we'll be back again very soon. Bye, Andrew. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Your other family.